Hello and welcome back to more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, where last episode we had our second day of investigations, and admittedly it felt a little bit slower than other days, although it might also have been that I was in kind of a tired mood last when I recorded it, because I was feeling a little tired. I will admit I wasn't in the super upbeat mood that I typically am in, so maybe that had something to do with it. But we did get to experiment with some interesting new gameplay mechanics with fingerprint dusting and luminol testing fluid and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. Very gimmicky, but also still cool. And today we are going to try and use some of that information we learned yesterday to help us further this case. February 24th, 9:41 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. Agreed? After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time, and a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lena! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't see capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lena, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Skye, We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. Yeah, I didn't really get to react to that yesterday because, like I said, I was a little bit tired. But, Jake Marshall was apparently in the evidence room. We have his fingerprint to prove it. Why was he down there at the time of the murder? That's my... Oh, actually, wait a second. So if he was down there, let me look at that evidence list again. Or the list of all the people that went in. Okay, so we know for a fact that Edgeworth is one of the people who went in there. We also know that Bruce Goodman was one of the people who went in there. And we know that the other two... Because someone went in there twice, once at 4:50 and the other at 5:14. So one of these has to be Jake Marshall, and I would presume that it's the one that's listed twice. That seems to make the most amount of sense. So, they belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, are you going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. And do what I have to do, I shall. February 24th, 10 o'clock a.m., District Court Courtroom number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lena Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial, agreed. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. You have no idea what you're doing, do you? That's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait. Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? I'm gonna have to do Officer Meekins' voice. Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Yeah, agreed, because this guy's voice, which I gave him, is just... Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir! I'm Officer Meekins, sir! My occupation is... That would be murderer, sir! So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir! It was me, sir! I'm the one who did it! I'll never kill anyone again, sir! You've gotta believe me, sir! Sir, I'm what you would call one of the younger generation, sir! A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend, sir! Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Help me, sir! Officer Meekins. Yes, sir! Give us your report of the crime. Consider that in order. Yes, sir! As you wish, sir! After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir! You can't fault them for a lack of enthusiasm. Oh boy, now we get to do a testimony in that voice. Great. Alright. Although it was not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake.
So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you?
Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir.
I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness.
Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with.
Well, the best way for us to obtain that information is just to press everything, because I didn't see any glaring contradictions there, so let's just see if we can get some more information. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir! I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir! Yikes, now there's a scary thought.
Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed.
I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir! You were in charge of guarding this thing? I mean, okay, so I guess it makes sense since he seems a little more on the incompetent side. So it's like being the towel boy for the varsity team, right? It's like, oh, you want to help, huh? Fill up our water bottles and give them to us. Also, quick, a gentle reminder: we have 1, 2, and 2 full pages of evidence, and then 3 slots on the 3rd page. This is ridiculous. We have so much evidence.
Blue Badger?
Yes, sir! The lovely police mascot created by the chief detective, sir! I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process, sir! That was my sole mission for the day, sir!
Gee, I wonder why. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission.
After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room.
Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room.
Tell us, what did you see when you got there?
Suspicious man on the security screen, okay. Tell me more about the suspicious man. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID. Oh, I didn't even realize. Oh, okay, wait a minute. So then, in that case, let's go back to this thing. Okay, ID card record. So the one that entered twice. So one of these has to be Jake Marshall, and the other one has to be Officer Meekins. The question is, which slot belongs to which person? You need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir! I have one right here! Actually, wait a second, hold on. Let me look at that one more time. So, if Meekins saw somebody go into the evidence room and therefore that's when he went in, he could not possibly have been the 77777, which by the way, that's a ridiculous number. All the 7s in a row. There's no way that could have been him, because he, according to his testimony, somebody else went in first, which means he has to be the 498-9596. But the question there and then is that so it would have been after Bruce Goodman went in. That actually explain it why they're both at the same time, like 514. He sees him running, then he goes in after him. But why did he go in there in the first place? Oh, to move the Blue Badger in. Okay, all right, that actually makes perfect sense. So then that means that 7777 is Jake Marshall. But why was Jake Marshall there? I don't know. Okay, so at least we know who the other two are. So then your ID number should be listed on here, right? Let's see if I'm right. There it is! I found it! This is the one right here.
Would you please read us the number?
Yes, sir! Yep, we did it! Yep, that was it. I see how the number 498-9596 is shown as being used twice.
Please explain, witness.
It's no mystery, sir. The first time was when Yep, correct. When you're getting after everything's settled down. Okay, so I mean, maybe that's what he was going to do, but he entered the room because he saw Bruce Goodman. Okay, so that. All right, so we figured that out then. Good, very good. All right, so this trial's off. We haven't even had an objection yet. We're already starting to piece things together.
I see. So it was during that second time when?
Yes, sir. That was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Date added to ID card record. Okay, very good. Doing what I was trying to do, sir. You were suddenly attacked. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir. A knife.
Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then?
Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash in my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be. When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed his man by the collar. Off my life, then you... Okay, what did you do? What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I don't know. I know I don't look like the type, but I'm really into Kung Fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched the knife from him. You took his knife? I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood, and then, the next thing I knew, yes, he punched me right in my face, sir! After that, I passed out until I was smack me awake, okay. We've pressed all of the statements and no contradictions have arisen. Around what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that, sir? I was unconscious, sir. Alright.
According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30.
He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain.
That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. The insinuation, of course, being that it's nice that he got smacked awake.
When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir.
Your mission?
Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand.
Well, we can all rest easy now. Now that we know that the Blue Badger is safely outside the police department entrance. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim?
He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins?
With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent in my jail cell. Chief Gay delivered it to me just this morning, sir.
The chief? Delivered it? What is that, a videotape?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room, sir.
What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased.
That's quite a mistake.
I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at.
Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim.
Oh, please, stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me.
A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Well, since this game is rated T, so not much, I'm guessing. Ooh, look at that. We got an actual video. This is some high-tech stuff for Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I'm it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I am legitimately impressed. Oh wow! I know that sounds sarcastic, like, oh wow, he's moving, but no, like look at this. Is it gonna show him again? Look at that. He gets full-on animations. This is amazing. Like this is, look at that. For what was a text-based. Okay, so I didn't pay a lick of attention to the act of the video itself. I was just amazed that it was as detailed as it is. So let me actually watch this time, see if there's anything that jumps out at me. Oh, the light! The locker's already open. Why is the locker already open? I don't know, hold on, wait, okay. So, let me watch it again. So, you notice all the lockers have their lights turned off. Except for that one. And that, I believe, is the locker that he opens. So it did not have to be, what does he say? It could have been who knows, could have unlocked it, okay. So, let's just present this here. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction?
Interesting, Your Honor. I have a proposal.
Yes, Mr. Edgeworth?
I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video.
He would want me to point it out. Yeah, I would assume so. Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video? This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Oh, how convenient. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing.
Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video, sir.
Okay, how did this guy ever become a police officer? No, then, Mr. Wright. Please enlighten us. Where is this contradiction? Oh, I didn't get to read that. Okay, fast forward. Pause. The light is turned on, which means it's already open, which means it did not have to be Goodman who opened the locker. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins. Sir, do you mean D, sir? As I understand it, locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. Do we have to watch it go through the video the whole time? Please pause. Is it gonna play the whole... Please don't tell me it's gonna play the whole thing again. That'd be really annoying if it played the whole thing again. Oh, I think it's actually gonna play the whole thing over again. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Really? Okay, this is a little annoying. You could at least rewind it, like, faster. But you also could have pointed out, look, it's open. Hey, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Order! Order! What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't blocked on the day of the crime.
But the lockers are controlled by an electronic system. When the door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked.
Oh, I know. It must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this.
That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction.
Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something, like, jam the system sensor? Something jam the sensor, say. There's something else that seems out of place in this video. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out. Okay. Fast forward. So why would the sensor have been jammed? I don't think there's anything there that's gonna show us. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit further. Gonna walk by. And... Oh, wait, rewind. Look at that. Okay, so, locker is shut. He opens it. We're going frame by frame with this. I feel like I'm editing an actual video here. A glove falls out. So, if the glove was, like, stuck in the door, then it wouldn't have been shut all the way. Right? Does that logic fall through? Let's present it, see. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Okay, it's really annoying that they show you the same video. Like, they show you the full video every time. That's really annoying. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my... I often fall out in roller great distance when I open my car door, sir. How do you pull that one off? We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? You're gonna show it again? We just saw this. We just saw this clip. You really don't need to show it to us again. Nope, you're gonna show it to us again. Alright. Definitely not necessary, but we're doing it anyway. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my die. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get... How useless are you? Well, the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door.
Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be insulated.
Yep. Wait, do we have it in the evidence? Yep, it's a rubber glove. It works. It perfectly works. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. Yes, there is. But sir, by insulator, you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was the insulator? The rubber glove. The rubber glove. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that it was in the victim's locker. What do you mean? The video physically showed it fall out of the locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir! It would appear so, sir! Order! 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 So, are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman?
Do not be misled, Your Honor.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove that.
What?
Officer Meekins, please testify about this.
Sir! Me, sir! I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir! Oh! You mean that, sir? Of course, sir! Is this a joke?
Very well, begin your testimony.
Okay. Mystery Man 2, Electric Boogaloo. Let's do it. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. Go into the evidence room, almost used their ID card.
Oh, that's extremely flimsy evidence, buddy. That's extremely flimsy evidence. Wait a minute. Okay, we as I pointed out yesterday, we found his ID card in the prosecutor's lot. He very clearly did not, and the body was in a very different place than that. He very clearly did not have his ID card on him at the time. So anybody could have gone, like earlier when I said, okay, so here, I'll pull it up. Earlier when I said, hey, Bruce Goodman went in at this time, it's like, yeah, what I was basically getting, it's like, the person who had the ID card went in there. Whoever the victim was went in at that time. So it doesn't necessarily have to have been him. But if, I wasn't going to bring that up, because I didn't think anyone was going to, but if you're going to use this flimsy evidence to support your claim, buddy, I hate to break it to you, he did not have it on him.
Well, ID card is used as a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective used his card. No, he definitely did not.
An ID card record, I see.
I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor.
Yeah, so do I.
The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim.
Just before the crime, huh? Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been used due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room?
This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases.
Special cases?
Extremely violent cases involving police staff.
Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference.
There were only a few cases up for transfer there, and most were cleared up by noon.
Right, I see. Let us move on to the cross-examination. Okay, this one seems pretty easy. So, he says, one other thing, almost used our ID card, it was used. No, he didn't, because we used the lost item report, right? Didn't he file, yeah, lost item report. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins.
I'm not good at waiting, sir.
I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. Lost item report? It's only half completed, but it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report.
Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right?
I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response?
I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright.
But bravo.
Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright?
Yes. What's he up to?
That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also—
Oh. You knew all along. He knew the whole time it was fake. It was all a trap. Edgeworth, you slimy genius. The whole time, it was all a trap. He knew that I would be able to prove the evidence room murder was a fake, specifically because if the evidence room murder is fake, then by extension, the murder then Detective Goodman had to have died at the underground prosecutor's lot, which means Landeskai's guilty. You diabolical.
In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder.
I guess that's right.
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around.
This isn't going to end well.
Well, well, it seems you finally realize exactly what you've gone such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video was a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lena Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon.
I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim officer? It was Jake Marshall. Jake Marshall used his ID card to get in there. That's why his prints were down there. This trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lena. What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this? Object. Obviously, we object. We found his fingerprints down there. One moment, Your Honor.
What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven.
Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap.
What are you talking about?
This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Okay, this is genuinely starting to annoy me. The fact that this is taking... They go through the whole... or a large portion of the video at normal speed every time. This is kind of... I mean, I know I've said it a lot, but it's really frustrating. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor?
If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident.
This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean? Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh? Whom do you have in mind? Someone who we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room.
The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. The person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name? Jake Marshall. Officer Jake Marshall.
Why him?
I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say.
The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare.
Very well. This court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time?
We will, Your Honor.
Court is now in recess. February 24th, 11:32 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby Number 2. Okay, so let's just summarize what happened there. We fell for Edgeworth's trap, but then we recovered because we know that Jake Marshall was down there. So something happened. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? There really isn't. What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lena, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why won't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me?
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Gumshoe, you have the worst timing in the world.
Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective runner all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals.
Sorry, Detective.
You better be, pal. Hey! 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 I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky.
That's okay. So, you brought what I asked?
Oh! Oh! You mean this, right?
My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when I'm making my request. My name?
Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy.
The SL9 incident? But Lena, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them.
I can't believe you, the Chief Prosecutor, were a witness in that case.
Miss Sky was a witness? Files for the Joe Dark killing solved 2 years ago. Okay, well, we're gonna read up on those.
Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me?
Emma, but why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lena, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No. Lena! That's over with! No! Emma, wait! She ran away.
Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here.
Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lena and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. Okay. Should we read it this episode or next episode? Let's start off the next episode. No, we're gonna read it now. Do it now. Incident number SL9, close. Perpetrator, Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence, death. Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Oh, wait a second. Neil Marshall as in... Jake Marshall? Okay. That would explain why Jake Marshall is so obsessed with finding evidence about this, because somebody who's related to him was a victim in this case, okay? That's a good clue. Trial data, head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, witnesses Lena Sky. Why? Oh. Lena and Emma Sky were both witnesses in this case, okay. Why were they both witnesses? They were both somewhere at the same time. So they must have seen one of the killings. Unless they were... Unless they were there for every single one of them. It's just they just happened to be there. That'd be rough. Investigation Task Force. Executive investigators Damon Gant, Lena Sky. Lena Sky was an investigator and a witness. Head investigator Bruce Good, investigators Jake Marshall and Angel Star. Okay, so the only... This is actually kind of anticlimactic. The only major clue we got out of this is that Neil Marshall was one of the victims. That's probably gonna play a big role in some. That, and I guess the fact that Lena and Emma were both witnesses. Interesting. Okay. To be continued. Music? Alright. Tomorrow's trial will be interesting. Because if I'm right and Neil Marshall's murder has something to do with Jake, then I think we're going to pry him out of it tomorrow. That'll be it for this episode. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. I hope to catch you all tomorrow for some more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Goodbye.